partnership for. And Margie and Laura and Jim are here just in the event you have questions that they would be the experts in. But basically, early in the pandemic, Margie and I were having a conversation after a couple of co-bedding incidents with infants, and realized that the pandemic was providing a lot of stress to families, and whether that's economic stress or a mix of all sorts of things. We realized that people may be sleep deprived, and that those sorts of things from stress, not being able to sleep, having a baby that may not sleep well, and that can be a recipe for bad things to happen. So we started talking about a campaign, and as I was driving home one night, I thought, you know what, it would be nice if we could partner with some of the entities that already work on this issue and really make it ubiquitous in the community about safe sleep. So we reached out to several partners, and we are in the process of setting that collaboration up and plan to have a fairly large media campaign that will be culturally sensitive, because I know I had my first child 30 years ago. And the idea of co-bedding or sleeping with your child then was acceptable. And it wasn't, it wasn't listed as a danger. It was a way to comfort the child and get the child back to sleep. Of course, we had the cribs that you could stick your head through and get caught back then. So we were not all that aware. Let's put it that way. But we also know that different cultures have different practices as it relates to safe sleep. And we want to be sure that any campaign that we have is not, preachy or anything like that, but it meets people where they are, and what they've been taught, and helps educate them about the best way to keep their child alive. Because we also know that there are a disproportionate number of Black children that die before their first birthday. And while Hamilton County has gotten better at that, that number has come down in the last 2 years. We know it's still an issue. And so we want to be sensitive to that as well in this campaign. And after Jeff shared the policy agenda, the draft policy agenda that you guys have put together, we saw infant mortality there and thought this tied well with that, as well as the proclamation declaring racism as a public health crisis. This, we believed, tied into that. And we also know that, and there's no easy way to put this, that 9 to 10 months after the lockdown, March, April, and May, there's likely to be more children born in Hamilton County than the normal 70. I said there's no good way to put it.
Hey, there's nothing bad about that.
No. But normally Hamilton County has about 700 to 900 live births a month. So we anticipate that might be more 9 months post the lockdown, and maybe more than that. And we also know that if government supports don't last the life of the pandemic, that many of our families who are at the lower end of the economic spectrum right now, that are being propped up by federal aid, and aid that we're able to provide and the community is able to provide. But if that doesn't last the length of the pandemic and folks start to lose that help, and the federal government doesn't supply it, that the stress on the families that is already high gets that much higher. And all of us who have had children know that you've never been more tired or worn out, and that's speaking as a male. I can't speak for mothers, but I know from my wife the level of tiredness that happens, and there's no intent to do anything to a child, but you may be in the recliner with the baby, and you don't intend to go to sleep, but you haven't slept in a day and a half. You might have worked 2 jobs, and it just happens. And then something ultimately bad happens, or the stress gets to you, and you take another action, which could also be harmful to the child. So right now we are in the process again of putting together the partnership, putting together the working with the partners to put together the media campaign. And once we have that together, we can give you a fuller presentation, sort of what this will look like. But we hope to be part of eliminating sleep-related deaths in Hamilton County, because 1 is too many, but we average somewhere between 15 and 20 a year in Hamilton County, and not all the children that are harmed in a sleep-related incident pass away, but there are traumatic things that happen to them when and if they fall asleep and get rolled over on or partially suffocated and those sorts of things. It's just all bad stuff, obviously, for the child, and it's just unbelievably traumatic for the family. So that is what our plan is at this point, and we are happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, very forward thinking, and we appreciate your work. My understanding is the numbers related to infant mortality in Hamilton County have gone down in the last year. So can you help put those 2 things together, your presentation related to that number?
Yeah, Hamilton County, as you well know, has traditionally been had a higher incidence of infant mortality than the state average or the national average. Hamilton County is right now at about 9.1 infant deaths out of 1,000 live births. The national average is about 5.7. So we've been getting better. We've been much higher than that in previous years. And there also has been progress. Last year, there was over the last 2 years, there's been a 24% decline in infant mortality in the African-American community. And that's in large part because of the work that Cradle and other partners have done in places like Roll Hill to create awareness of the issue, and also provide pack and plays and those sorts of things for people who may not be able to access an extra crib or a crib. And that's something that would be part of this campaign as well, that we would ensure, if we're doing all this advertising, that if somebody doesn't have something that they need to ensure that their child is able to sleep safely, we will provide that. And we will provide a means for people to get that and get it to them quickly, because that you can't tell somebody they have to do something and then not give them the resource to do it.
Thank you. Commissioners, comments, questions?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Tim. It's a great initiative, certainly needed. I can remember reading about infant mortality, and of course, the African-American community, as you were saying, is impacted even more. But what was strange to me is the fact you think it's related to poverty, which it is, but research actually said coming in to deliver a baby as a Black mother, just being African-American, impacts your care no matter how high your income is. So I'm glad that we're working on this initiative. I was also liking to know what partners are you working with in order to fulfill this initiative?
We're going to be working with, obviously, Cradle Cincinnati, both health departments, the hospitals, particularly the birthing hospitals, and any number of other ones that right now slip my mind.
What about Every Child Succeeds? Is that one of them?
Yes, it will more than likely be one of them,
Okay.
Commissioner.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
And you brought up another good point, is that, sleep-related infant deaths account for about 15% of the deaths. The other, preterm birth defects and those sorts of things, we focused on this because awareness can really fix this. The other issues are obviously as important, but they require a lot more entities and societal changes, quite frankly, where awareness of this, we've seen the number come down, and we want to try to force it down to zero.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Parks.
Yes. Hi, Tim.
Hi.
Yeah, so this is way cool. So with the work that Cradle Cincinnati has been doing, this will give it a boost. They've had a media campaign. I remember seeing the billboards and even commercials and stuff. So I think my question is, this will add federal funding. Would this add federal funding to?
Would this add federal funding?
Yes.
No, this would actually, as part of our levy effort, this would be considered child abuse prevention. So we would be spending local dollars on this.
Okay, great. So it will be boosted by levy dollars.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
And the other really good thing, I think, is that, Cradle has done great work and had a media campaign, I think, back in 2016. Our hope with this partnership is that we will do this large campaign this year and then repeat it every October, which is October, by the way, is Safe Sleep Month. And we won't get this done in October, but we won't do as large a campaign, but realizing that there are new mothers and new fathers all the time, that we can't just do a sort of a one-shot thing.
Right.
In order to keep this, again, ubiquitous in people's minds, and that the next generation of at least people in Hamilton County grow up hearing this message over and over and over again. And then eventually the number, when one happens, it's of great, surprise, as opposed to, the way Margie and I sometimes feel, oh my gosh, here's another a person who had no intent to harm their child, and suddenly their entire life has changed, and they've lost a child because they were worn out and tired, and that's not a reason why your life should change.
I think that you have used really wise foresight, and there probably will be more babies born. I wonder what we're gonna call them. Like the Can't Be Boomers,
Right?
Corona Boom.
Oh boy.
Corona kids, I guess.
You have to come up with something.
And
there will be a name for this campaign. We just haven't come up with it, but we're going to start brainstorming on that, because we're also involving, parents in the community from various community groups and things like that to help advise us on the best way to get this message out.
Okay, thank you so much. This is
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
Thank you.
Madam President, just one additional question, Tim. When you talk about the campaign will be starting soon, what marketing strategies are you going to use? Will it be actually on television, or do you have enough money to do that, to spread word? Or
yeah, I think it's going to be a mix. We're still working on that, and that'll be part of the contract. But we are looking at something that is multimedia, because different people get their messages in different ways. And we want to, part of the reason we're going to talk to folks in the community is to say, what is the best way to get the message to you?
Mhm.
What would make a difference? Particularly if you're extended family who watches kids, because we know that
Mhm.
happens too, and they can be involved in accidents. So again, to be culturally sensitive, we want to be sure that we're asking folks who we're asking to, to do something, what is the best way to get that
Mhm.
message to you?
Okay.
And that will inform all of the media strategies that we might have, but we certainly view
Mhm.
television, websites, probably radio and print, all of
Mhm.
those things.
And timing is so important, as you spoke earlier about more infants being born, which hopefully, prayerfully, it doesn't mean that the infant mortality rate will go up, but that the education for the community that there are more babies now. And so you may see a rise, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're having more impact or greater mortality than usual. It's just the numbers are bigger. So.
Right. Yeah, we hope to have this campaign up and running January, February next year is when it would really kick in.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Laura has added to the chat that Every Child Succeeds and Cradle Cincinnati are both organizations operating out of Children's Hospital, Cincinnati Children's. So just for your information. Tim, is there anybody on the team you would like to have weigh in?
No, I'd just ask them if they have anything that they want to add. They were here as my my expert folks in case you guys had questions that I couldn't handle, and that's generally a pretty good bet.
All right. Well, we will wait for 1 second and see if anyone has any additional comment. It looks like Laura does.
Just one more, and Tim, I think you hit on it. Is that the team that's developing this, that'll be working with our communications director and Tim McCartney and others. There will be 2 women in the community that will be a part of this message development and providing guidance around how to do that, which I think is an important element of what they're doing, is really, and Cradle models that extremely well in the community.
Great.
Thank you.
And I just have one thing to add, commissioners.
Yeah.
Just that in line with this, we hired nurses last year to help us in our work in child welfare. And they are developing a comprehensive training around child development for our casework staff that will include safe sleep and education to them around safe sleep, but also how to have sensitive conversations with families about safe sleep, regardless of what brings us to their home if there are children who are of that age.
Great.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you for the presentation. We'll look forward to the rolling out of this program, and I'm especially intrigued by the name of it, Tim, and so Commissioner Parks seems to want to weigh in on that, so we'll have to.
Yeah, don't be shy.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
Share any thoughts.
That's right. Well, and Todd Portun did start all this, so another nod to Commissioner Portun. So thanks you guys for being on. You're more than welcome to stay, but don't feel obligated to stay on.
Bye-bye.
Congratulations again,
Goodbye.
Commissioner Parks.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Our next agenda item is the policy agenda discussion. So we did shoot out a draft to the other commission offices. Both of you have weighed in, and the final, I think, went out yesterday, and it does incorporate the changes. It does rework, though, the first part. I just want to note it because there were a couple of different things that we were working from, and so it is in the first, I guess it's actually the second paragraph under continuing budget stabilization and maintaining economic development investments. And so as you read through that, you can see that there has been added language related to the coordinated efforts of the board, the administration, and the independently elected officials working together through COVID. And then there's also an acknowledgement of the sales tax being redirected to the general fund. And there's also an acknowledgement that the CARES Act dollars have helped us through this difficult time and helped us through this budget period. So those were incorporated in that paragraph. And then as you move further through the document, There were some addition, there was a deletion under MSD. So you, obviously you won't be able to see that, but that first line has been deleted. And then there was an addition related to the county fair about the utilization of the land. There was an addition under oral health per Commissioner Parks, and then there were some additions under the Boys to Men initiative per Commissioner Summer Dumas. So I don't know if you've had a chance to read through this. I think Alex tried to word craft as many of the recommendations into the format as we could. So if you all would please take a look at those, happy to answer any questions about it. But I think we would be looking to pass this hopefully on Thursday at our meeting in its final form so that the administration has the policy direction from the board. So I'm happy to entertain any questions now if you have gotten to the document, and if not, anytime between now and Thursday, if that seems like a reasonable time frame.
Madam President, I was able to review the revised document. It looks fine.
Okay.
Great. And I thank you for incorporating some of the changes and revisions. So it looks fine to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I like it too, Denise. Commissioner Dreehouse, Jeff and I had a discussion earlier today where under developing a strategic approach for affordable housing, talked about perhaps making that a bit more clear, to demonstrate what we're looking for is housing that middle income people can afford.
Okay.
I think, Commissioner, if I could just to expound on that, I think our conversation focused around specifically the word workforce. I think we use the term workforce housing a lot to mean affordable housing options and choices for residents. And I think we're thinking about if we could expound upon the use of the word workforce in that first sentence to distinguish it from the term workforce in other areas of the document where we're referring to Hamilton County employees. I think it was just that clarification.
Okay. Yeah. So oftentimes, from my perspective, workforce housing and affordable housing are kind of interchangeable
Exactly.
terms. All right. So you're suggesting that the word workforce is confusing because some of the other pieces of the document talk about our workforce.
I think so.
Okay. All right. So we can make that change. I see it appears more than once in that paragraph. So let us make that change as well, and then send out another final for your review.
And Commissioner, if I could, just from my own perspective, I don't want to speak for Commissioner Parks or Commissioner Dumas, but I think when you refer to it as workforce housing, I think that term by itself is fine. I think there was just that one place where it used the word workforce by itself, and it could be confusing to someone maybe not familiar with the entire policy document.
Yeah, I see. And it is a fairly new way to react to affordable housing. Okay, very good. Well, we will make that change. Anything else?
No, I think it's awesome.
Okay. All right, Jeff. Well, it's heading your way on Thursday then, once we make these final changes. We'll get that out to you hopefully later today, so that you can take a look at that, and then we'll put it on, I guess, as a by leave on Thursday for adoption.
Okay.
All right. Thank you both for your input on this document. It is rather lengthy, kind of a la Commissioner Fortune. So, because that's the model that we worked on. But I do think it reflects the priority of this commission in a pretty constructive way, and gives the administration enough direction that it's not overwhelmingly detailed, so that we can, move around in that space a little bit, but it certainly does lay out the priorities of this commission. So thanks for your input on it. All right. Well, that's all we have today. There was an executive session, but that has been canceled and moved to next week. So
darn.
I know, advised you a little more time to get ready for the wedding. So is there anything else that should come before us?
I have nothing.
I have nothing. Thank you.
All right. Administrator Aludo, anything?
Nothing further.
All right. Again, congratulations, Commissioner Parks, on the
Mhm.
nuptials. Do wish her good luck for all the rest of us.
I will.
All
I
right.
will.
Thank you. I'm going to move that we
Congratulations.
adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
Yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.